Preacher here. Let's talk about road names. You know, that's something that's almost exclusive to the motorcycle club world. And you know, I was brought up around a lot of the old school guys. I'm talking patch holders from the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. And I've got to know guys from all over. And they all had some interesting road names. I'm telling you, I've met some interesting ones. And sometimes I've met a few guys and been like, well, why would you call somebody that? But they stop and they let you know this much. If somebody gives you a road name on the scene in a motorcycle club, it's an honor. And it usually has some kind of meaning. Many motorcycle clubs have a long-standing tradition of using road names, which can be seen as a rite of passage. I've seen some clubs where you earn your name like 6 months into prospecting, and others, they wait for something to happen to be able to give you your name. Some clubs use road names because they don't want to use their government name. They don't want everybody in the world up in their business and knowing it. You know, so it's kind of a way of keeping private, using a name that allows bikers to maintain a level of anonymity, which can be important for safety and freedom in our culture. And it's also kind of rebellious, you know. Everybody signs their government name at school, but not everybody goes by that name on the street. It's often storytelling. You know, I have a brother. He's family to me, man. 10 years ago, I gave him this name, Dirt Bike, and it was my honor to give him this name. And people might say, Dirt Bike, yeah, Dirt Bike Don. And you might be like, well, why'd you name him Dirt Bike? And I'd be like, well, hey, that name's got a lot of meaning. First, here we are on our Harleys, riding everywhere with the clubs and everything. This guy is on a little 650 Kawasaki Enduro, going everywhere with us, not worried about anything, you know. So I gave him the name Dirt Bike, and it has more meaning than that. The name Dirt Bike means devoted, inspiring, righteous, and thoughtful. Think about that. That's D-I-R-T. Devoted, inspiring, righteous, and thoughtful. And the bike believes in kind evangelism. B-I-K-E. So he's devoted, inspiring, righteous, as you can only be made righteous in Christ. He's thoughtful. He thinks the things that most people don't. And then believes in kind evangelism. This dude's got a big heart, and he loves to share God's love with people. So his name, Dirt Bike Don. That was my honor to give it to him. Now, when you give somebody a name like that, and they have it for like 10 years, right? And then somebody else comes up and thinks they're going to take that name and change it. That's a disrespect. That's something you don't just do. So it's like a lot of bikers, they hang on to their names. Now, occasionally a name will change. I had a name going back from before I was even a patch holder. My name was Road Rage. Matter of fact, even when I was the national president in Rage for Christ, it was Road Rage. And people would ask me, they'd be like, how'd you get that name Road Rage? And I'd tell them, and I'd say, but God made it something else. And it's an acronym also. Righteous, on fire, and devoted, radical, and God exalting. Now, when I became a road dog, we were hanging out with our bay charter almost every weekend, a couple nights a week. And this bar and grill called Rusty's in Tracy. And the people in that bar started calling me the preacher. Started calling my wife the preacher's wife. They had my cherry Coke ready. They knew what I stood for. I wasn't in there compromising my beliefs. And so one day, one of my brothers came up and said, man, why don't you go buy that? And I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. So, I mean, yeah, occasionally a name will change, but I didn't have to worry about stepping on anybody's toes or disrespecting anybody, as it can be. You know? In some clubs, road names can signify a member's rank or role within the group, contributing to the organization structure. There's a lot of different things road names can do, and it's always interesting. But yeah, in the old school, it could be considered disrespectful to change someone's road name, especially without their permission or consent. Bikers' road names are often personal, and they can hold a lot of meaning. And so usually if somebody's going to try to change your name, you got to have a reason for it. So it can be looked at as disrespectful. It can change somebody's personal expression. If they got an emotional connection, especially if it's something that describes their personality, right? Now, it's something you might do if maybe that name no longer fits, or maybe the person that gave it to him is completely disrespected him. But for the most part, once somebody's given the name, a name, it's an honor for them to have it. And it's an honor for that person to have given it. I've given out a few over the years. And I'm glad I got the one I got. It's been a blessing. A little bit of food for thought. I just figured road names is something a lot of people don't talk about nowadays. It's something that's got lost in the modern day. And so, I've met a lot of people that were in clubs that suddenly, everybody in their club's got a road name. You meet this other guy. It's like, what's your name? Oh, I'm John. Just John? No kickstand or shadow or no name like that? Nope, just John. I don't have a name yet. So I love the fact that our culture has that. Anyway, give me a victory in Jesus in the comments. You guys be blessed. And one thing I like about the whole name change thing when it comes to the Bible is it's not just a motorcycle club thing. In the Bible, there were numerous name changes, often signifying a significant transformation or new beginning in someone's life. Think about like Abram to Abraham, Sarai to Sarah, Jacob to Israel. Every time they started to live God's plan, the name was changed. And I believe it's an awesome thing. You might say, well, preacher, that's an Old Testament thing, ain't it? No, it's not. Look at the apostle, look at Saul to Paul. Stop and think about that one for a minute. The apostle Saul changed his name to Paul from his Hebrew name to his Greek name after his conversion, indicating his ministry among the Gentiles. Or we can go Naomi to Mara, or Hoshea to Joshua, or Azariah to Abednego. Now, I know those are more Old Testament, right? But think about Simon to Peter. You can see it. Now, a lot of people might bring up, like, Matthew and Levi, or Levi and Matthew. But the thing is, the biblical text use of Levi is his Aramaic or Hebrew name. Wow. Some of them use his Greek name, which is Matthew. So I'm not so sure if that was just an interpretation or if there was a name change there. But regardless of the fact, a lot of times there are name changes with the conversion to the Christian life. And that's one thing I like to see is when you become a biker, when you come into the club world, a lot of times it resembles the same thing. You get a new name. And, I also look at, like, Revelation. It says that one day in heaven, we all have names that we don't know here. And I love it. I love it because that means that God has given me a special name that I don't know yet. But He does. And one day we're going to know Him. So anyway, just focus on the Lord, put your trust in Jesus, and be blessed.